let's dive into the news for this week. Got a couple of headlines here. We'll actually get into some college football discussion here. But as we always do, let's start with the injury reports. We'll just run straight through them and then talk about the ones that we need to, which we do have one that I know we're going to have some thoughts on. Detroit running back DeAndre Swift has a shoulder injury. Don't know if that's going to keep him out, but he's going to be managing that one. I think that they're looking to see if his labrum. Same thing with Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. He has a shoulder dislocation, but they're looking at their labrums to make sure that there's no structural damage, that they can't just pop it back in and have him back.
Speaking from someone having a shoulder injury, do you know how painful? Oh my goodness!
I sprained my shoulder. It's
do
nasty.
you understand how painful
it hurts,
man?
You know how much
Dude,
stuff you use your arm for?
You better look waist down. You go waist up, man. That is flags. Dude, you know I got a bad injury. Like
fighting,
man. It's like, how in the world are y'all even on the field with a shoulder injury? I'm like,
it's
I'm
nasty.
not taking. It doesn't even matter. You could be on special teams. Somebody push you the wrong way and you fall the wrong. It's just no. I have no. Look, unless I'm 100%, I'm not even getting on the field because I'm like your career. You know what I'm saying? You're going right back out.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's just a matter. It's not about a matter of how. It's when it's gonna happen. So,
yeah. Well,
but to your point, I wanted to say at 0-10-1, I ain't rushing back. I'm just.
Well, he's probably not, but they might want to have him back just to make sure that they. I don't know. Hey,
looking around like, dude, I ain't got nobody to protect me. Man,
right.
I'm not coming back. But moving on.
Raiders tight end Darren Waller. For some reason, his injury wasn't actually listed. I know he is injured though because he got taken out of the game.
Yeah, and they just kept showing him.
Yeah,
the whole game.
But they never said what his injury was.
He had the Jay Cutler injury.
Oh God! All right,
I don't know what it has to do with the exercise bike, and you can't tell what the injury is. And then it
ended up being Jay Cutler's thumb.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. I have no idea what his injury is. It can't be his legs. His legs are fine.
I went and I went on PFF. I went on ESPN. Both of them were like Darren Waller injured.
You know what I think it is? I think it has something to do with you can't stand for a long time. That's the only thing I can get out of that because I'm like, what else injury do you? I'm watching you on the bike. You look fine. You walking. You pacing up.
I mean, he took his pads off and everything. He was in sweats.
At one point,
yeah.
I mean, it was just like they just kept coming back to him. Like, okay, is he out? Is he out? Like,
he was definitely out when I saw him. Like,
the way that they kept giving him airplay was if we're not really sure what's going on with him. What are you talking about? Look at him. 1 minute he had his uniform. Next minute he doesn't have a helmet. Next minute he's sitting on the bike. Next minute he's pacing. Next minute he has no pads. Next minute he's in street. I didn't even get to the street clothes part. I was already done with the game at this point. I wasn't even paying attention anymore. I'm just shocked that you even told me. I'm like, he actually changed and came back out.
Yeah, the second half he was in street clothes. Like he was done for the day. Clearly.
Oh man, I'm gonna figure out what happened to Darren Waller.
You go ahead and look. I'll go through some of these other ones, and we'll talk about one coming up here. Dallas running back Ezekiel Elliott has the long-standing knee injury. Also, I would say it's his leg because he also has that ankle injury too. So we'll see how that all plays out. Philadelphia running back Miles Sanders, he has an ankle injury, and that really hampered Philly in that game.
Has he ever been really healthy this year?
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm not asking a real question. Like,
I think
like he's always hurt. I never remember him actually being healthy. Like, I heard he's like, okay, they're gonna go with him this one particular week at some point.
I think he was healthy when he did come back initially, but he immediately went out again after that. So I think he's been off and on. I think he's got the Christian McCaffrey injury, which we'll get to that in a second here with Carolina running back Christian McCaffrey. His ankle injury has put him back on IR, and now his season is over.
Surprise.
You did say it when he came back. You said he was going to come back.
Like I said now. I'm not thinking about like I said soapbox.
Yeah.
I'm personally, just through evaluating, just come to find from what I was seeing from my eye test, from me personally, I had the serious suspicion that this Christian McCaffrey has been utilized so much that he has now gone into this injury-prone phase where I don't think he's really going to recover from it with this type of volume that they're giving. They have to utilize him differently, which was part of why I was so excited for the Cam Newton thing, because I'm like, okay, now you have somebody to help alleviate all of this. And
now Cam Newton has to retire with Ben.
Y'all did everything opposite of all of that. and now he's out. Cam's still there, but y'all are now down another weapon.
Hey, whoever, if you drop Chuba Hubbard, go pick him right back up.
I couldn't even find him in the fantasy thing. Like, he wasn't even the next man up. They had somebody else play last week. I have to go back to the box score. Chuba Hubbard didn't even play.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was a healthy scratch. He was just inactive for the game or whatever the case, but
he's definitely going to be back with.
Yeah, too now.
With Christian McCaffrey going down. So
I don't understand why this guy didn't have work in the. Look, Matt Rule is your guy. I'm just some of the things I do not agree with. I just don't agree with what's going on over there. I do like the Cam Newton thing, but
we'll see how it all plays out. I still think Matt Rule, if he can, I want to give him another year to continue building this team to see how that plays out, because he's gotten this team from obscurity.
No, that's
now back to a comparable looking.
Look, if you I'm gonna give him this. If he can make Sam Darnold look the way he did for them first 3 weeks, okay, you got my attention. I'm just, now the rest of that's all Sam Darnold, and that's the guy already. I was kind of already iffy anyway, but
they got to deal with him for another year because they had to pick up his 5th-year option to make that trade even.
And that's
somewhat
fine.
comparable.
And maybe that's what maybe he only needs another year.
Signing. I don't know. It was a trade.
And very quickly, Darren Waller had a knee injury.
A knee, okay.
Why
were you on the bike then? Whatever.
Moving on.
Well, Jacksonville tight end Dan Arnold, he did have a knee injury that was listed. And I think his season is over. Not sure. I mean, at 2-9, it should be.
Let me say. They said he's out, I think, 4 to 6 weeks.
You're done for the season,
done.
Yeah.
What are we rushing you back for?
Why would you come back in week 17?
Paycheck, I guess.
No, you're still.
Is he gonna get it anyway?
You're getting it anyway. All contacts are just everything except for injury. Like, they can't take the money away for injuries.
Okay.
So he's gonna get that check.
All right, that was my answer.
New York Jets quarterback Zach Wilson. Apparently, that PCL injury is not over. So his knee is still all unstructurally sound. So whether he's going to be playing again next week or not, doesn't matter.
White Mike will be back from COVID next week. Okay,
gotcha.
So
sure they ain't gonna try out Joe Flacco.
You can they can roll him out there if they want. White Mike will be playing before the end of that game, though. Joe Flacco. Your time.
Pittsburgh tight end Pat Freiermuth, rookie sensation, has a concussion now. Denver quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, undisclosed leg injury.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It literally was listed as leg. I was like, okay. Is it his knee? Is it his hip? Is it his thigh?
ACL, like PCL, MCL,
anything?
What
is it his ankle? Is it his toe?
Calf,
it literally just said leg. I was like, wow. They literally have no information on this.
Could you be any more general?
They didn't even tell me which leg it was. It was just leg.
Wow. That's the third leg.
Minnesota running back Dalvin Cook. I mentioned it earlier. Shoulder dislocation. LA Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. He has a back injury, and now he also has an elbow and an ankle injury. This dude is all the way beat up.
Yeah, he is.
Jesus Christ. They didn't need to fix that offensive line then, because he is getting hit way too much. And then to round things out, Green Bay wide receiver Randall Cobb and San Francisco wide receiver Deebo Samuel both are out, not out, but both are dealing with groin injuries.
Randall Cobb got it? Oh my God.
Yeah, it was not a good week for, if you were had been a star or are a star today, you got injured last week.
Was that the end of your list?
Yeah, that's the end of my list.
And not to forget about AJ Brown, placed on the IR.
Oh, did he get placed finally on IR?
Starting Sunday.
Gotcha.
And he has a chest, rib, and hand injuries that he's dealing with. Jesus.
So. And just to throw this one in here, it's not really an injury. TJ Watt gets placed on the COVID reserve list today. So
anything else can go wrong in Pittsburgh. My gosh.
let's talk about some headlines because there is some interesting stuff that happened in just the world of football this week.
Okay.
So let's start with the lesser stuff. For one, to start it out with the NFL, Dallas head coach Mike McCarthy is also on the COVID-19 list, and Dan Quinn will now step in, and he is taking back over his head coaching duties. Wow. So we'll see Dan Quinn as a head coach on Thursday this week. Another thing, Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he opts to not take surgery this week as he is on bye. So he's just going to be dealing with this toe injury for the rest of the season. Now, this is really like a non-story, but it does kind of dip its toe into what I think is going to happen this offseason. Pete Carroll had some interesting stuff to say after the game on Monday.
Do tell.
So Russ obviously did not have his best career game by any means, and they clearly did not get the win. And Pete Carroll responds to a question saying, starting out with his first initial words out of his mouth were, he's got to do better. And he tried to sugarcoat it after the fact and say, well, we got to do better. But he comes out and just basically just calls out Russell Wilson for having a bad game.
Russ, I hope you and your agent has met up at some point by now and had a conversation about your future and about what you're really going to do for the rest of your career. Because it cannot have Seattle in its trajectory anywhere. Because oh my God, this league,
Pete Carroll,
this season couldn't end fast enough for Russell Wilson. I'm like, dude, I would be on the phone.
You cannot.
Did he really just throw his quarterback under the bus?
Yeah, granted, I read this comment. I did not watch the press conference, so I do not know in what context this was answered. But I don't care, because at the end of the day, the first words out of your mouth are, he's got to do better, after you have to me, a Hall of Fame quarterback already.
You know what that sound like? That sound like a coach who's about to lose his job.
He's not. He runs the damn organization.
I know you keep.
He doesn't have a boss.
So you're telling me that this man ain't gonna leave until he ready to step down? Is that what you're saying?
That's
what you really believe is gonna happen?
He owns Seattle right now.
All right, let Russell Wilson get out of there. I'm gonna see if he's gonna still own Seattle, and no higher ups or nobody's gonna just let him just stay there. I think this is the beginning of the end for him. I think these are the beginning stages. Just remember this conversation like some of the other ones, and get back on my "I told you so" box.
What 7 years down the line when they're just like, all right, well, we're just looking for a coaching change.
I'm saying I want to see how the offseason plays out, and then I want to see what the organization is saying. I'm not saying he should be gone,
because the organization does not come out and say many things.
I understand.
It's all fed through Pete Carroll.
And I said we went through this 5-6 weeks ago, and I just kept saying, like, this guy should be on the hot seat. I don't understand why he's not. And then,
it's because he doesn't have a boss. It's because it's an ownership group. There is no owner in Seattle, and he is the GM. Basically, there is a president over there, but the president has less power than him as the GM and coach.
We need to go back to the NFL realignment conversation, and we need to change Seattle as a franchise and a brand new Seattle's done. Because y'all need to just sell that to an owner and then sell it, and the team moves off somewhere else. Seattle don't need a football team. They need a basketball team. They don't need a football team. I'm just throwing it out there. My 2 cents. Moving on. God Lord. All right. I am so done with Pete Carroll. You already know this.
Yeah.
How dare him?
One more thing before we get to the most interesting stuff that happened this last week, which is funny because the most interesting stuff that happened in football didn't happen in the NFL. But NFL ended up suspending Dallas defensive tackle Tristan Hill 2 games for punching somebody. I don't even know who he punched after the Thanksgiving game. So
okay, complete news. You never heard this in nowhere.
No, it was. I literally stumbled across it today.
The stands or something?
No, it was in the middle of the field. I just at the end of the game, I didn't watch. Like I immediately flipped the game off, and I went over to NBC because I wanted to watch the Buffalo Bills game. Mm-hmm. So the second that field goal went through, I turned the game off, and so I didn't know any of this had happened. And NBC said nothing about this. some skirmish that breaks out at the end of the game. And I went in and I actually saw what happened. He absolutely clocked whoever he got.
I know what happened. It's Thanksgiving, family time.
It's Thanksgiving. What are you doing?
This is what. Come on now. You telling me that you all these wholesome American families don't be having that annual Thanksgiving argument with your family?
Well, yes, but that
and feuding.
But for me, like, if I'm a football player at this point, like, I'm like, all right, screw it. Let me get home so I can go get dinner, because all I'm thinking about is the holiday itself.
That's
not about
relax.
Yeah. Let's chill out. It was a tough game. We lost in heartbreaking fashion. Let me just get out of here. I don't even want to shake your hand. No. Let me just walk to the locker room and
Long
go.
Week.
He just was like, nah, I've got fight on my mind.
I'm gonna beat somebody today.
He won the fight. Now he's missing 2 game checks. So
he went home a winner, one way or the other.
Man, well, that I thought it was not that it was a funny story, but it's humorous.
On Thanksgiving, wow.
On Thanksgiving,
like what better time than now?
Now to get to the interesting, juicy stuff. The NCAA had something to say about football this week. They were like, let's just drop all the news.
Okay.
Everybody is moving. And the 2 biggest names are, let's start with Brian Kelly, because this one I think is super egregious. Notre Dame is in contention for not only a bowl game, they're in contention to possibly still try to make it into the New Year's Six.
Really?
Yeah, Notre Dame is in the fight here. They're in the hunt. And Brian Kelly just says, hey, deuces, going to LSU.
I get that. I just don't understand how they... Well, moving on. I was going to talk about Notre Dame. This is not even about Notre Dame. So Brian Kelly went where?
LSU. Ed Orgeron, he ended up... some agreement happened at the beginning of the year that he was just, I'm done after this year with LSU. He loves it and they love him. So it was the weirdest thing that he is now leaving LSU. He bleeds LSU in Louisiana, but
story come out a couple years from now.
Yeah, we'll hear something, but it's so cordial between the two. So I'm very confused by that whole situation. But that's neither here nor there. But Brian Kelly, Notre Dame head coach, just is like, well, a head coaching vacancy. Let me go ahead and just skip and a jump on my way down to Louisiana. And I think his introductory press conference is tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, well, but Notre Dame, you guys you're top 10 right now. What is going on?
I mean, you got that, but which confuses the hell out of me is because they're not a part of any damn division, though. So I don't even know how you rank them.
Well, no, they. I think they are a part of the ACC right now, because
basketball. I think football now.
No, because of COVID, they chose. They would have to choose a conference to be a part of to even get on a schedule, because with a team that doesn't have a conference that they're a part of. There was no way to make schedules.
Y'all hearing this? South Bend, Indiana, is in the Atlantic, the Atlantic Conference.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing Atlantic about Indiana.
No. But that is what.
Yeah, I got
that's where they are. I think they might have pulled out after last year, but I believe that they are still in the ACC for right now.
I've been so confused about how they even. Not that they always in contention, because they're not, but it's like every 6 to 8 seasons or so they're like there. And I'm like, how? I don't understand how they qualify that team.
I don't know. I don't understand, but it's fine. It's
with that
what
being
the NCAA
said,
is.
if you're looking for prestigious job security in collegiate football coaching and a pristine history, you don't get any better than Notre Dame. I'm like, that's just where it's at.
Yeah, that is true.
LSU, I guess that must be a hell of a package they must have offered.
Well, he did get a 3-year. I think he had a 10-year, $95 million deal.
Got that bag.
Yeah, so
that's what it come down to. Got that bag. Like, you know what, Notre Dame, deuces.
Yeah, basically.
10 of them.
But it just baffles me that you do it at this time. Like, because I get it where Oklahoma is, and we'll get to Oklahoma in a second.
Okay.
But
I sent you a text.
Yeah, I saw it before that when you sent it. I was just like,
hey, I'm just trying to get ahead of Just trying to let you know I'm on top of this.
Yeah. So it's just Brian Kelly is now Notre Dame. I think is going to be in shambles. I don't think they're going to make a New Year's Six game now, and I don't think.
So he left now.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's not even.
It's not over. There's still a game.
I'm thinking they're like in this. It's like an extended.
He still has one game left on the season, and they still have.
Look, it's just a
they still have a bowl game.
That's what I'm getting. I'm thinking like, I'm hearing this like formality of. No, okay, he just has to sign when the season's
He's
over.
Not the head coach of Notre Dame anymore.
He left y'all high and dry. I mean, he took that bag and ran.
Yeah, he did. It's insane.
Like how much?
He basically. Lincoln Riley did the same thing, and Lincoln Riley's is a little bit more egregious because literally the day before he has a press conference where he's saying, "I'm not taking the LSU job," but that's all he said. So he technically did not lie. Yeah, I'm not taking the LSU job.
Never said I was going to LSU.
But now, Lincoln Riley, head coach of Oklahoma, should be head coach of the Chicago Bears, is now taking the coveted USC head coaching job. $110 million.
Grabbing that bag.
No, that's just the start.
Oh, okay.
USC also bought him a $6 million home.
Why? He has $110 million.
Because they also bought out both of his Norman, Oklahoma homes for $500,000 over asking price.
Okay, does this even qualify as betrayal or?
It's like, how do you turn that down?
Exactly. Like, who would not? I mean, I'm Coach K at Duke. I'm out. Seriously.
Yeah.
Calipari in Kentucky. I'm out. I'm not. I'm just saying.
Nick Saban. I'm out.
Like Alabama ain't my first team. First school I've been in. I ain't gonna be my last. I'm out of here. You know, are you serious? Any NFL coach, hey, look at this is what's going on over here at USC. I would have said Pete Carroll, who came from.
Yeah,
I'm out. I'm just. There can't be a better deal on the table.
Absolutely not. But this is where I'm like, this is why and I think Lincoln Riley is the second best head coach in college football right now, outside of Nick Saban, who's got that on lock. Nick Saban is the greatest head football coach.
Greatest coach. He just had the greatest program.
Well,
I remember him.
That's
in LSU.
that's the difference between
NFL,
That's the difference between the NFL and in the NCAA, though. It's
true.
As the head coach, you are the program. You build that program. So I kind of think that they're one and the same.
Yeah. Well, when you're getting,
but you are getting the top recruits, and I get all what you're saying. Yeah. It's basically a feeder system.
All of the
I get what you're saying,
okay,
but I still think you still got to coach those guys up, and you're still in the SEC.
It's not to take away. It's just kind of like, is it really like 100%?
But he did have to change around what Alabama was when he got there. Let's not get it to it. Alabama was horrible before Nick Saban was there. So
what? Bear Bryant?
Doesn't matter who it was. It was bad.
You know what Bear Bryant was?
I know the name. It's way back.
Way back.
Yeah. But yes, Lincoln Riley to me is the second best head coach, and I think that this just proved it to me that USC was just like, you know what? Screw it. We're going after the guy to go get.
Wow. Even overspent. Yeah, my Lord.
Well, USC's got the money. Let's not.
Absolutely.
Let's not get it twisted here.
Nothing but money. I mean, good Lord. Like, we're just trying to get rid of some of this stuff and make space.
Take it. I mean, they literally just bought 2 homes for over $500,000 than what they were worth.
Well, Lincoln Riley, that is called a win, baby.
So I was like, because initially when I saw you went to USC, I was like, God, you really didn't want to wait to see if you could get an NFL job? You know he was going to get offers from the NFL.
I get that, but you understand.
But then when I saw the contract, and I was like, okay, there's no way any NFL team could even compete with that offer.
And how many years on his contract?
I don't even know. I just know I know it totals $110 million, and he got a $6 million home.
I was gonna say whatever that number is, that is the minimum years he's gonna be there, because it just was just saying it.
Unless somebody else buys him out.
I was gonna say
because I think USC also had to buy out the rest of his contract at Oklahoma.
got deep pockets. Good Lord. Man, I'm like, y'all want to pay for Oklahoma's new coach too? Why y'all let it?
Might as well.
Just for your troubles. It's gonna take them off your hands, you know.
Which brings me to my next point, and let's wrap this back into NFL talk.
Yep.
Cliff Kingsbury now is connected to the new Oklahoma job because now there's a vacancy.
Arizona's coach, right?
Arizona's head coach.
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals, by the way, not Arizona University.
First place. First place in the league right
First
now.
person in all of the NFL.
All of the NFL. And you are thinking about this is the greatest.
No, I will say he did have a press conference today and to try to tell people, hey, I'm not even thinking about coaching changes at all right now. I'm solely focused on Arizona and getting us to the playoffs and winning playoff games. He did come out and say that. So I don't want to try to make it like it's still a mysterious up in the air type of thing. He was initially, when it came out that Lincoln Riley is gone from Oklahoma, who's next then? The very first name that came up was Cliff Kingsbury, which I thought was hilarious.
Why would who would start? You know, like who started this?
Well, if he's gonna get a contract offer like Brian Kelly just got, a 10-year, $95 million deal, like, oh well, sorry, NFL's a little bit too the job security down in the NCAA is just on lock. Like you don't have to worry about it. You are taken care of for the next 10 years.
That is true. I mean, man, damn, they going right to the top. Like, dude, I mean, coaches spend their whole careers in the NFL trying to do
if Cliff Kingsbury goes, if it does happen, I think that opens up the door for now the NCAA to start poaching coaches from the NFL. Because usually it's the NFL coming in like, oh, well, let's pluck this guy out of the NCAA. Let's go get this guy out of the SEC here. Let's get this Big Ten coach over here. And most of the time, they don't even have to be head coaches. They'll just come in and be coordinators in the NFL because it's so coveted to be in the NFL. Yeah. But if now the NCAA is like, well, let me take this guy out of the NFC West and let me take this guy out of the like, if they start doing that, where is this going to go? Where it's just like, all right, well, there's just so much more job security. It's so much less stressful. I get to control everything over here. I don't have to listen to this jackleg upstairs, make dumbass decision after dumbass decision, and have to just deal with it. Mm-hmm. I get to just build my own team. Oh, cool. Let's ride. Like where's the negative here? Like, well, it's the NCAA. All right, I'm on national TV every week. Like, okay, cool. It's just one of those things. I was like, that if that does happen, I think that does open the door for now the NCAA to start poaching NFL coaches.
Hey, and maybe that it actually helps the NFL. They start looking at more candidates than they supposed to be anyway.
Yeah.
More, your Eric Bieniemys and so on and so forth. But who knows? They might get plucked and end up. Who was in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Eric Bieniemy is the new Oklahoma.
Who's
coach.
The new Notre Dame coach?
Right, new Notre Dame coach is something who loves to run.
Yeah. Well, and now
moving on.
And if we want to keep talking about head coaches and vacancies and things changing around, we can take it to the NFL and start talking about now. Chicago is connected to be trying to go after Ryan Day, which I don't really like. Ohio State head coach, Justin Fields' old head coach. Sorry, that one. If you're gonna go after a guy, and like I said, if there's any guy that you're gonna go after in the NCAA, Lincoln Riley, that's the only guy that I would want. He's the only guy that I think actually can translate. Granted, Nick Saban, I think now, if he wanted to, he could definitely, but Nick Saban is going to be a college coach for the rest of his life. I don't think he's ever coming back to the NFL.
No.
On top of that, Ryan Day possibly could put together an offensive game plan for the pros, and it could possibly work, but I don't think solely focusing on just this one player. Obviously, Justin Fields still is raw and needs to develop, but just fixing him is not the only thing that we need. We need a head coach that can also fix this defense. We need a head coach that can really, truly get David Montgomery going in the run game here, that can truly scheme some of our fantastic weapons on offense to get open. So there's a lot of things that need to happen there, and I don't know if Ryan Day has that. And I think Lincoln Riley was the only head coach in the NCAA that does. Now, when it comes to NFL offensive coordinators that might be looking to go around. I know we talked about Eric Bieniemy, but I also had a thought of what about Ryan Dable, Buffalo OC?
Could work. Definitely, if nothing else, it would upgrade. We're talking about Chicago, right?
Yeah, Chicago specifically. This is really the outside of who else is getting fired right now. If we're really thinking about it, Matt Nagy's gone. I feel like that's a given. He is the going to be the first firing once the regular season wraps here.
Any other candidates? Possibly.
I don't know if anybody else is going to get fired.
Joe Judge, maybe. New York.
I think they kind of scapegoated.
I said maybe.
Yeah.
But outside of that, because the Raiders already don't have one.
Oh, yeah, I guess there's a Raiders opening right now.
Raiders opening. Urban Meyer's coming back for now. What about the Texans coach?
You don't think Urban Meyer might go to Notre Dame?
I'm not saying no, but I know you don't believe anything he says.
I don't believe a damn thing that comes out of this man's mouth.
I think he's coming back next year. Personally, that's just me, but I don't see any reason why he'll jump in one year and like, oh, I see too much and I'm out of here.
The Notre Dame job.
Does he want us? Do we want to coach Notre Dame? I mean, I don't know. I think Urban Meyer likes the South. That's all I'm getting at.
Well, fair. I do. I respect. I mean, but he spent so much time at Ohio State. I think he could get over it and go to Indiana.
Look too great there. He looked okay.
Yeah. I mean, he got it. He got a chip.
At this point, I would say, look, it's probably fair to say that could be 50-50 at this point. But I think I'm still leaning toward he stays another year, but until he gets fired.
Until I hear anything from Notre Dame saying that they're not going after Urban Meyer, until I hear that, I'm going to hold out hope that Urban Meyer leaves to go to Notre Dame.
Possibly Houston's coach, but
they just got him.
I was gonna say they just bring him in.
And they don't look horrible. I mean, yeah, they're 2-9, but
and with good reason. They don't have anybody.
Yeah,
it's not one of those. Oh, y'all just horribly bad.
I mean, they've looked actually pretty good in a lot of their losses. I mean, they have a couple of blowout, like, oh god, that we were just overmatched. But they've got a couple that are like, well, damn, they could have pulled that game out.
Do I dare say Mike Tomlin?
You think Mike Tomlin's gonna get fired? No, my god, I was gonna say.
Do I dare you to say Mike Tomlin? See, Mike Tomlin would be on the hot seat, and if he was any other franchise doing what he's doing right now. Nope, he's in Pittsburgh. If there's ever
because it's not him, it's been
ever a place of job security for coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, it is Pittsburgh. Yeah,
dude, you got to.
What do they have? Like 4 head coaches in their history
ever.
Jesus,
like, dude, you got a minimum 15 years here. Just can show up and do your job. Just go out?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay, but yeah, but no, I don't see any other jobs. Because everybody just got there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like Matt Nagy's going to get fired, and it's going to be Raiders and the Bears looking for head coaches. I really don't know who. Like, Mike Zimmer might get fired, but they've looked so much better after that first month that it's like, all right, maybe they might keep him around for another year. I would, if I'm the owner of Minnesota, I would be firing Mike Zimmer just off of, okay, we've tried this for so long now, we need to change it up. Sorry, but it's just not working. But
Philadelphia's head coach?
He just got there.
Thought so. I don't even remember his name.
Me neither.
I'm struggling here, but I was just saying there's something would extremely have to go south in the next month or so for that to happen. So to your point, no, there's not a lot of jobs that's going to be there. Coordinator positions, perhaps, but not a lot of head coach jobs. At least not just yet. I think next year is going to start to open that back up. That window after next year.
Yeah, if Joe Judge doesn't get fired, which I don't have any faith that New York will do the right thing, and well, I don't even know if that is doing the right thing. It's just so up in the air about
he would be the obvious candidate that's next in line. But if they keep him, great. I mean, because if anything, even on bad teams, they do need continuity.
Yeah.
In some cases, like, dude, you got to get this man time. And I'm like, hell, when you starting out with a Daniel Jones, get what you get. It's like, get a man 2 more years to correct that and then see where you're at, But We shall see.
So when it comes down to really right now, it's just Raiders and Chicago. So,
Correct.
I would suspect Chicago's still going to go after an offensive head coach. And so.
But I like what you were saying with the OC, which I mean, if the Bears needed anything else, they need an air attack, like aggressive.
You need to know.
downfield.
You need to figure out how to fix the pass game. And yes, that it's kind of funny because when it comes to my love for having Lincoln Riley come to Chicago, it's because he runs the ball so well, it's not that they just run the ball well. They know how to make a run game that can have the pass game be built off of that. That's the difference between Lincoln Riley and a lot of other head coaches, where it's just like, all right, well, we can just run. We can try to just death by 1,000 run you.
Right.
No, he actually let's run scheme, get that involved, and then we can build a pass game off of that. That's the difference, and that's why I really like him. And USC might be next couple of years might be a team that's going to be in the hunt for getting into the playoff. But now, if you're just looking at NFL head coach, because I don't think another college football coach will be able to come to the NFL and have that type of success. So I would want to see a Ryan Daboll, or a Eric Bieniemy. Those are the two guys for Chicago. When it comes to the Raiders, I could see them going anywhere. I could see them going defensive if they really wanted to. They do have a really nice defense.
I was going to say it probably be working in their favor to go
with
a defensive-minded coach. I mean, offensively, they always had offensive weapons historically.
Yeah.
Whether they're, household names or not, they just they know how to go out and scout talent and athletes and put out at least a decent product offensively. But yeah, if they can anchor that team on from a defensive standpoint, that is what it's going to take for them to be able to compete in the AFC anyway. Trying to outscore them, you ain't going to be like, well, okay, we're going to go against Kansas City. You can't sit there and rely on scoring 48 points to try to outscore them, type of thing. You got to be able to stop these teams. That they might not even have a choice. They might the best candidates might be defensive coaches at this point.
I was gonna say, I think Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator in Indianapolis right now, he would be one of my top choices if you're gonna go defense.
I can't argue that one. That's not a bad choice.
I mean, I feel like he deserves that. I mean, you could still try out poaching Vic Fangio, but he already has a head coaching job. I don't know if he's going to leave one head coaching job for another. Maybe if you give him a better situation, but I don't know if the Raiders give him a better situation than the Broncos right now.
Right.
So it's kind of up in the air at that point. I just really don't know which way they would even go. I know the way Chicago should go. I know what I've been pounding the desk for them to do. Clearly not going to happen with my first choice, but they do have a couple of choices left now. But if they go this Ryan Day route, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. I get the appeal. I understand what you're trying to do, but come on. Let's be serious here. Let's do the right thing. Let's fix the offense as a whole and let Justin Fields develop naturally. Let's not try to recreate his college football magic. This isn't college football anymore.
I'm putting in my bid, and I'm going. And my choice is Eric Bieniemy to the Bears. Former running backs coach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if nothing else, you got a slew of running backs to work with here. I don't know. That's just me.
I like it.
I ain't saying he's the greatest choice. I just think he'll be a nice fit.
I'm not going to be mad. I'll actually be elated if we get Eric Bieniemy over here in Chicago. I think my first choice would be Daboll. Just because getting the air attack working, and I do believe that Daboll does have some sort of a run game package that they have. It's just like you said, it's the personnel that they have over in Buffalo that's the issue, not his scheme.
Right.
So I think with a top 5 rusher when he's healthy in David Montgomery and a up and coming stud in Khalil Herbert and a gadget guy in Tariq Cohen could definitely benefit from a Daboll system right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm open to that.
So that's that. I really didn't have too much more to say. We just kind of got into a discussion there. It's not really even about the headlines. So.
Hey, very interesting conversation you brought up, though.
Well, one more interesting thing is to look at the standings right now and where teams are and what teams are still in it. What teams mathematically still have a chance is one thing, but teams that actually could get into the playoffs is another.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start over with the AFC because I think that's the most interesting. And it leads off with an 8-3 Baltimore Ravens team in first place. New England is number 2, as you said earlier, 8-4 right now, as they just beat Tennessee to overtake them.
Yep.
And Tennessee is at 3 at 8-4. Kansas City is now at 4, 7-4, coming off of a bye going into this week.
Mm-hmm.
Wild card teams, Cincinnati 7-4. I love saying that. Buffalo 7-4. They fall behind New England at this point right now, and the Chargers rounded out at 6-5. The first 2 out right now are Vegas and Denver, both at 6-5, and Indianapolis is at 6-6. If there's one team that I think won't make it, I think it's the Chargers.
You said Indianapolis is at?
They're at 13. 10. Indianapolis is at 10.
So that puts Cleveland at 11?
I think so. I think Indianapolis somehow has a tiebreaker over them.
Okay, go ahead.
But if I'm going to take one team out and put one team in, I'm putting in Indy, and I'm taking out the Chargers.
Yeah.
I could see the Chargers dropping a couple of more games, and I could see Indy grabbing a couple of these, especially with that 2-game stretch that we were talking about that they have coming up. Arizona is one of them. I forget who the other one is. Those are their toughest matchups. Hey, they grab one of those and then they win the rest of the other ones that are supposed to be cupcake matchups. There's 11-7. What I don't even know what the 11-6.
Yeah,
I could see them ending up the season 11-6.
Run off their last 5, they could. It's very, very likely. So it can happen. No, that makes no argument there. I'm like, I can see the Chargers falling off because, like I said, I think they're middle of the road team.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of accolades into how they finished last year, but that doesn't necessarily carry over for me as a fan.
Yeah.
Per se, when I kind of evaluate teams and stuff, I'm like, I understand that was last year, But not to say that they was going to come out and be poor, and I understand that they corrected the offensive line. You bring back Justin Herbert for a second full season, off season, all that great stuff. Yeah, but I'm like, my God, like before last year and before Tyrod Taylor's unfortunate poking in his, he
wasn't poked. That man was stabbed.
The shanking of the medical staff, they wasn't chosen to do anything, which I wasn't saying that they were bums, but it's just like, man, you let from where they were at the beginning of last season to the end, it was like light years. Like, oh my God, they're the next Super Bowl team. Yeah. I'm like, slow down.
Well, I wasn't saying they're a Super Bowl team.
You didn't. I've just
the narrative's over on mainstream media. I get you. I just think that I would not be shocked if this was the final standings, and this is where we're sitting going into Wild Card Weekend. But I do think Indy is going to eventually get their name back into that hat. I don't see Vegas getting it all figured out in getting into that last spot. I don't see Denver figuring it out. I think Denver has gotten a couple of very fluky wins over the last couple of weeks that are just like, oh, the other team just did not come to play.
You're so not.
I'm done with Denver. Denver is not impressive to me at all. Even in their wins, they look horrible.
I can't argue that.
So I'm just like, they've got a couple of fluky wins that definitely bolster their record as it is right now. But I don't see them when when it's crunch time, I don't think that they're going to win these games. And I do think Indy is at a point where there is a match lit under them right now, and they're ready to go, and they've been ready to go. They beat Buffalo. They were right in that game with Tampa Bay. They've got a couple of things they still need to clean up, but I definitely think that they're a team that's going to be tough to beat down the stretch, especially they fought tooth and nail to get through one of the toughest starting schedules in all of the NFL.
Exactly.
And they came out 6-6. And now they got a bye week. No, they got one more game this week, and then they have their bye, correct?
Yes, week 14.
Yeah, so they got their bye week coming up, which is going to be a much-needed break for them to get as many people as healthy as possible. And then, boom, they're going to go on this stretch run that I think is going to be just absolutely it's going to be a tear. And if they can hone in and lock in and stop giving away second halves, that team is going to be one to really be reckoned with. If they don't deserve it. But if they do, if Frank Reich can get all of their guys to play first through fourth quarter, all the way through, stop coming out flat in the third quarter, they can go all the way through. That Indy is going to be a team that if they make it in, they're going to be one of those like, hey, don't let us in because you're going to be sorry.
I wouldn't want to face them at all. I wouldn't want to face them down the stretch of this season. That's just not somebody you want to see on your schedule.
Not at all.
Oh God, scary team.
All right. Let's talk NFC quickly here.
Yes.
Best team in the league, Arizona, has the number 1 seed at 9-2. They would have the bye week if the season ended today. The rest of the division winners: Green Bay 9-3, Tampa Bay 8-3, and Dallas at 7-4. And then wild card teams: the Rams right now at 7-4, San Francisco at 6-5, and Washington at 5-6. The first two out are Minnesota and Atlanta, and I think the next team is New Orleans.
Me Atlanta is not in this on the 5-6. They
absolutely
not leaving
get out.
Not leaving the tiebreakers.
Get out of here. No, they're not.
The fact that they're on the bubble, saying a lot.
Which is funny because New Orleans is on the bubble too. New Orleans is technically right in there. Yeah, true.
Oh my God, this
horrible.
Next couple of weeks, let me get some separation here. But go ahead.
To
your point.
What I'm gonna say is, I will not be shocked because I don't think that there is another NFC team that I would see jumping. Minnesota would be the only team that could jump the football team and get in. But I would, at this point, the way the football team is playing, I think this could be the NFC playoff picture. Now, shuffle around, put some teams higher, put some teams lower, depending on how things shake out. But I think these could be the 7 teams we see in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Having Washington at 7 and Minnesota right there at 8, I don't go any further than that because I can't realistically.
Atlanta, no. New Orleans, no. Carolina, no.
I mean, even with that, Giants.
Carolina might have been able to get in there if they had Christian McCaffrey, but he's gone now.
True. But Philadelphia, New York, and Chicago, I'm sorry. You already showed me this. Y'all not. Yeah. Even if y'all get to the playoffs, y'all going to be a quick out. It would take everything.
I will say, Chicago, if they run the table, that is one thing. But also, they do still have 2 games against Minnesota.
Well, it should get interesting.
So that would only be the only team that I would say. And that is just me trying to give hope to Chicago. But outside of that,
you want some real hope? Can you imagine if Detroit ran the table right now? They could finish 6-10-1
and get in,
and just might just with a lot of help. They could just run the table right now. They technically, mathematically, could be actually in it, which is kind of funny. They're not even actually mathematically eliminated yet, and have not had no.
I think they would need one more.
One more they're done.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it like they can actually finish 6-10-1, and that one will mean so much to them.
It would. It really would.
Just the fact of saying that makes this NFL is so interesting to
me. Yeah, I love it. Well, that's that.
You're winning when you're losing.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of look at the playoff picture. I mean, we're about to head into the final month of the season, or I guess 6 weeks of the season. They got 2 games in January this year.
Very weird. Go ahead.
It's very weird. But yeah, we're going to see some really, really good football down the stretch here. The season is going by way too fast, but hey, I'm enjoying every second of it, even with this last crap week.